Hello and welcome back to the podcast, bros. It's me, Avizra Sumargi, as always, and with me today, guys.
It's Ashul Samargi and I'm back. It's good to be back.
Yeah, it's been ages, man.
Yeah.
Where have you been?
Just playing the game of life.
Ah,
And here and there,
nice.
I've been back in my hometown, Hitoda, for a while and now thought it was time to be back
Yeah.
and doing the show again.
All right, yeah, we've
Yeah.
missed you around here, and yes, I did say that we would be all three people, but Gaurav Khanal, it seems like he's not going to
Yeah.
be around for the next 2-3 months.
Yeah, where is he?
Yeah, apparently he's traveling, and he's also busy working and all that, but yeah, he's going to be traveling for most of those 3 months.
Okay.
So he won't be back, guys. Sorry to disappoint you all. I know that there are a lot of audience members that love Gaurav Khanna.
Yeah.
So he's going to be sorely missed. Either way, so what are we going to be talking about today, Ashwal?
Interesting topic,
Yeah?
right? And, it's caught everyone's attention recently. And so it's the metaverse. What
Yeah.
is the metaverse?
I mean, this has been something that's gotten huge during COVID, right? Like
Yeah.
metaverse, the term, it just became here, there, left, right, everywhere, right? And even Facebook, they took the initiative of changing their name to Meta.
Yeah.
So it looks like it's going to be something that's going to be huge for a long time, and I think it's going to be part of everybody's life. But let's get into it. So
Yeah, let's dive in.
yeah, what is metaverse, right? It is a digital space. So basically a 3D environment using the internet. It's a shared space where a lot of people can come in and interact and buy things and all that and all. They can play games, do all these different things. They can roam around and all that and all, right? And what will be powering it?
Yeah.
Yet to find out, right? Which company will do the best. But mostly what it will be utilizing is VR, AR, 3D technologies and your NFTs, Bitcoins and all that and all. And don't worry, dear viewers, we will be going through all of these AR, VR, all these points, and we will be explaining as we go along, right? So the state of metaverse at 2023 is that it's largely unbuilt. There's still a long way to go in the metaverse universe. Like there are so many different companies competing for it. And of course, you guys must have heard the advancement in VR, AR, right? VR being virtual reality, AR being augmented reality. Of course, cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Ethereum, people have heard all about these, for especially the past couple of years.
Yeah.
It's been insane, right? And yeah, so basically that's it, right? Like it's a virtual space where you can interact with other virtual avatars of different people, and you can play games or you can do interactive activities
You can
and
work.
yeah, you can work, you can do all these different things, and you can even exchange money, right? Like, so because if there is a cryptocurrency funding the whole metaverse experience, then it's basically like giving cash but in the metaverse.
Yeah.
So all of this will be feasible, and yeah, so that's basically what metaverse is.
Yeah.
The combination of VR, virtual reality, AR, augmented reality, blockchain technologies that utilizes like cryptocurrencies and NFTs. So it's a
So
yeah,
many digital aspects combined
yeah,
into one
yeah,
digital
yeah,
space.
exactly. Yeah,
That
yeah,
is the
yeah.
metaverse. Okay.
So yeah, and Dave Wright. Who is Dave Wright, by the way, Ashwal?
Isn't he the chief innovator of ServiceNow?
Yeah, ServiceNow, people, come on.
A little
All
inside
right.
joke there, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit of inside joke. I mean, yeah, so he said, and this we are quoting him, it is clear that it is one of the most highly anticipated technological evolutions of the coming decades,
Okay.
right? So basically what it means is that metaverse is going to be staying around, maybe it won't be a fully realized virtual space, but VR, AR, NFTs, blockchains, and all these things, cryptocurrencies will stay around in some capacity or the other. And this is what the future is going to look like. All right. So I know that you have researched greatly into the history of how and where all of these things came into being. So enlighten me, Ashwat.
So basically, the metaverse, the concept of this metaverse, it's not new. It's not something new. Like, people have been imagining a virtual space where you can perform certain tasks like for a long time now. So, you can trace its concept back to like, digital, some aspects of its concept like back to 1962 when an American filmmaker, Morton Healk. Sorry if I'm butchering the name, but
I
yeah.
guess.
So he builds a something called Sensorama, basically a machine that's
Oh, it sounds erotic almost, man.
yeah,
Go on,
and
go on.
it was a great, advancement in that time because
Yeah,
like
1962, huh?
yeah. So what it does, basically a VR chamber. You can sit on it, and it simulates the experience of riding a motorcycle
Oh,
with all
okay.
the smell and the wind, and it gives you all the haptics and everything.
Oh, wow.
So it was a huge leap
Yeah,
at that time.
in 1962,
Yeah,
that's
1962.
insane, man.
So that was,
Yeah.
a profound advancement in the VR world.
Not too long after the computer, like the mainframe computer came into being then. Like
Yeah.
after Alan Turing and all that. Oh my days.
Yeah,
That's
62,
impressive.
yeah. So,
yeah.
and then in 1984, American computer scientist, and like he was a pioneer, Jaron Lanier. Sorry again the name.
Yeah,
So
butchering.
yeah. So his firm, were one of the first to develop the VR headsets. With the gloves and
And when was this again?
1984.
Okay, my mind is officially being blown. 1984 VR
Yeah.
headsets.
So this has been there for some time now.
Yeah.
So the concept of VR, AR, and everything. So they are one of the first, firms to come up with VR headsets and gloves. It was the demonstration of how virtual reality could be deployed for many endeavors like commercial and artistic endeavors and all that. And after 5 years in 1989, Tim Berners-Lee, the famous person who comes up with the World Wide Web.
Oh, okay. This is the guy. He's a scientist, right? Like,
Yeah.
oh my days. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's the one who comes up with the World Wide Web, that lays the groundwork for practically the internet, whatever, the whole thing.
Yeah.
So now this was a radical upgrade to the existing text-based sharing services like Gopher and proprietary bulletin board systems.
Yeah.
So Berners-Lee invention open sourced both client and server for linked network web pages with text, graphics, and audio. So it was a huge leap in the internet world.
So basically, this. Okay, so let me try to break it down, right? Like, so what you're saying is there were other versions of internet before.
Yeah.
But this guy, Tim, what was his name?
Tim Berners-Lee.
Tim Berners-Lee, right? Like I've heard this name before. So this guy, he created a version of internet where you can share photos and like all these videos and interact with people.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it made it easy for everyone to post something there, and exactly like it says, like the customer and client relationship.
So they could interact online.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So now this is where the term metaverse comes into play. So in 1992, American sci-fi writer Neil Stephenson coins the term metaverse in his book Snow Crash. So a metaverse in this book is a place where rich people escape from the real world problems. So it is a digital world where rich people escape. So this is where the term metaverse is coined. So this writer.
I mean, I don't think a lot of people would have suspected that the term metaverse would come from a novel, science fiction novel, I mean, that's interesting as well, right?
And that too in 1992.
Yeah. Oh, advancements, man.
So, he depicts a dystopian future in where like the rich people escape, in connected reality and all that. People are responsible for their own avatars and all that. So basically what metaverse right now is, so it was depicted in 1992.
Huh?
So that is how,
You know what is like really interesting about things like this, sci-fi, like novels and all that? You see that there are so many different sci-fi books, right? Going all the way back to the 1800s, where people have like made fiction, right? Which has some scientific base to it. And then like 30 years, 40 years later, it comes into fruition, And this happens to be people's imagination at some point, and then like it just happens.
Yeah, like a visionary, right?
Yeah. And it's not because they have some scientific background or something, they're just baking up things and like things that could be tangible, but interesting. So that's why I'm saying, people, aliens are coming.
All right, okay. So 2003 now, now almost 11 years later.
Yeah.
Linden Lab unveils Second Life.
Say the game, yeah?
Yeah, a shared 3D virtual space that allows users to explore, interact with others. Yeah. So, and they can build things, exchange virtual goods like we talked about, NFTs and blockchains and all, like cryptos and all that.
I mean, In this game, they do not like exchange funds and all that, but you can, for example, so for example, you went on a quest, right? For all the people still following, this is going to be a little bit nerdy-ish for gaming verse, but yeah. So for example, you do a quest, in game, and then you get this like amazing weapon, right? And then I meet you online, right? And then you want my weapon and I want something that you have.
Yeah.
So those kind
All
of
right.
exchange
Okay.
was like transferable. So basically stuff like that and all.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, I don't think they know Linden Labs' creation, Second Life, right? The game. So for bridging the gap, I think we can even Sims, if you guys know Sims,
Yeah.
right? And Minecraft. Like, so these are kind of similar concepts of Second Life, very similar to like you can build your own world, you can do all these different things, people can interact, come in and all that and all. But anyways, yeah, go on.
Yeah, so that is another, huge step towards the advancement of a metaverse.
Yeah.
Where you can exchange and you can do these things.
Yeah, you can see like they're stacking up one, like, what do we call it, brick after the other and
Yeah.
trying to build the wall, right?
So it's a
Like,
slow,
yeah.
it's a slow but steady,
Yeah.
innovative thing.
Endeavor,
Endeavor. Yeah. So again, in 2006, now this Roblox, everybody
Yeah.
knows Roblox. They have made huge advancements for gaming. When they now in 2006 they started this multiplayer game. All right, so now developed by many users and all that. Users could try out their new ideas for a game, and platform provided the infrastructure to scale the most successful ones rapidly. All right. The Roblox platform also allows users to create and sell new items. So now this is a huge thing now in the gaming industry.
Yeah.
You must be,
Yeah, dude, like it's a very fun experience. I
Yeah.
would suggest people to go and try it out. It's back in the 90s, right? Like late 90s, especially for the people born in like 1985, 86 and all that. When they were growing up, they started having online games, right? Like World of Warcraft. When they were 12, 13 years old,
Yeah.
World of Warcraft and all these different games started to come out. So this was pretty much a similar experience, right? Like where band of people sitting in their computer, different places in different, like, could be in the same country but like different places, and they would band together to make a group and they'd go out to do different quests and all that and all, right?
Yeah.
And Roblox is like a step up, right? So not just so for example, in World of Warcraft, what you do is the game is developed by at least someone, right? And then like it's top down, right? So like whatever they produce, you have to play. But in Roblox, what happened is they gave open creation to everyone. So what you can do is your avatar can create this whole theme park where they can have all these different interactive games. And me, a stranger passing by, I could be like, yo, this place looks poppin', and then I'd
Let's
go
try it
in.
out, yeah.
Yeah, and then I'll try all these different games. And what I'll do is like, yo, I found this place on Roblox, right? Seems really amazing. And then people will gravitate towards it.
Yeah.
So now that becomes famous, right? So that's like a whole different concept. And now you see that like first it was top down, one person controlling, but now, and it's just 2006,
Yeah,
by the way, how you're
2006,
saying
yeah.
it, right? So that means by 2006, you could like, it's already advanced so much,
Yeah.
which is very, very interesting, I guess.
And the thing is, the platform now has about over 200 million users. Active
Yo,
users.
my days.
So it's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, that's insane, man.
Yeah. Just a year later, and now you can also see that as the time passes, the time gap between for the innovations are like closing down.
Yeah,
Because as the time passes, now there are more innovations on a faster
that's
rate.
True, that's
Yeah.
true. That's true.
So now in 2007, now this is another big step for the metaverse as a concept. Google augments maps with Street View, which allows people to explore virtual representation of world at real scale, of a real world at like proper scale.
Do you know when Apple came out with its map?
Apple must have done it later than Google.
Let's see. Yeah. Apple Maps origin. No, let's find out.
It must have been after Google.
Of course, it's after Google.
Yeah.
No, but there was a point I was trying to make, right? Like, so the point I was trying to make is that like 2007 is 2012, right? Like that's when Apple Maps came out.
Okay.
So 2007 Google started, and now Apple has been doing it for a while as well, right?
Yeah.
But Google has so much more data that I use an iPhone, right? I think you use an iPhone as well. I'd rather rely on Google Maps than I'd rely
me too,
on
right?
the Apple Maps.
This is
right?
something, and it's also because I think Apple Maps, like they've in their recent Apple presentation, right? Like, they've shown that, they've made, impressive progress in this Apple Map thing. But then it only applies in like, first world countries like USA, Canada. But living here in Nepal, Google Maps is efficient, right?
So that's insane as well. Just a 5 years gap. 5 years sounds small, right?
Yeah.
But like that 5 years gap
in technological term, it's like lifetime, right?
Yeah, that puts Google head and shoulders ahead, man. Like, yeah. Go
so I mean, this Google Map Street View thing, that showed that Google showed that there are clever, easy ways of creating large, complex digital twins of physical environments.
What do you mean by digital twins?
Digital twin is like a twin exact replica of a real world thing or real world, like the whole world. And the map is like a digital twin.
Okay.
So now that applies in many games as well, like GTA 5 and all that. It's Los Angeles, right?
Yeah. Los Santos, Los Angeles. Yeah.
So that was that. In 2009, Satoshi Nakamoto, right, mints the first Bitcoin. Yeah, and
his identity is still unknown.
Yeah.
People have come and claimed that, like, I'm Satoshi Nakamoto and this and that.
But okay, so it's a pseudonym.
Yeah, it's a pseudonym. Yeah.
Okay, I did not know that.
When Bitcoin started popping off, I started researching into it.
Yeah.
And then I found out about this guy. And then apparently nobody knows who he is, who he or she is,
It's like the Batman, huh?
Yeah. Or maybe even they. Ashwal, be inclusive.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. So he mints the first Bitcoin and launches the first public blockchain using a proof of work algorithm. So now with the Bitcoin up, now it's like a digital asset,
Yeah.
So now another step towards the concept, improvement of the concept. So in 2011, Ernest Cline publishes futuristic novel Ready Player One. We
saw the movie, together. Yeah.
So this novel is set in the 2040s, where humanity finds escape in shared virtual space called Oasis. Which boasts having the world's most stable currency. So now Steven Spielberg later, directs the movie in 2018, basically. So now it popularizes the idea of virtual space, virtual space.
For a lot of people that are watching, I think you guys should go and check this movie out, right? Like, it will give you such a different understanding of where the world might be heading. And of course, we'll discuss about like where it might be heading in the future. But yeah, it'll give you
it's a good watch too, for movie lovers. And it's a good watch and a certain peak maybe towards the future.
Yeah. Basically, explaining the metaverse, but in this movie, there's just one metaverse.
Yeah.
Right. So it's decentralized to everyone. Everyone can use it, but like it's being, for example, Facebook Meta is that version of it. But in our reality, maybe there will be multiple companies and all that.
So that's an interesting thing as well, right? Yeah. Like, who will run this thing? Or like, how many different versions of metaverse will there be? And if there are multiple versions, how will, one choose, or how will it work?
Yeah.
Right?
I think, okay, let's try to hold the questions till the end, right? Because like this is such a juicy question.
Yeah. I get you, yeah. So now we are at 2014. So Facebook then buys Oculus. Oculus, is that how it's pronounced?
Oculus, yeah.
Helps scale 3D infrastructure to support it. In 2021, first quarter, Oculus earned $280 million for Facebook. So Oculus, they make these headsets, VR headsets and gloves and everything, the whole thing.
I wonder how much Facebook acquired Oculus for because imagine right now Facebook is going like crazy into it, right? And Oculus is one of the best VR headsets out there, virtual reality headsets out there, right? And like the profit on that must be insane for Facebook.
Yeah.
Because Oculus just doesn't go for like the meta concept as well. They'll go for gamings as well. So people will buy Oculus just for the sake of Oculus because it is compatible with PlayStation as well.
Yeah.
And computer games as well. So you can buy Oculus. It doesn't have to be just to use Meta, right? So I wonder like the turnabout on that, right? Like, and still now, like you said, 2021, in the first quarter they made like how many?
$280 million.
So that's insane.
That's insane. Yeah.
A VR company, man.
Yeah.
What?
All those headsets you see, Oculus.
Yeah.
So 2014 again, Americans Kevin McCoy, an artist, and Anil Dash, a tech entrepreneur, create the first non-fungible token known as NFT. A term that has been popularized recently in the past couple of years.
Yeah. I feel like NFT is stupid.
Do you?
Yeah. I mean, I have my own gripes with it, but I feel like the chance of someone getting scammed for an NFT is much,
Yes,
much
yeah.
high than either a Bitcoin or something like that, like a cryptocurrency. So I hate NFTs, man.
So it's basically a digital asset. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And 2016, one of the significant, year which AR, augmented reality had significant, advancements. Pokemon Go, people
Oh,
were
yeah,
going
yeah,
crazy
yeah,
over that
yeah,
game.
yeah.
You know, so Pokemon Go introduces the world to AR games, overlaid on the real world. Players use their phone to find, capture, and battle various other players and all that.
Yeah.
And so,
I don't know if you remember, but I think I was back in Australia when Pokemon Go came out, right? And the craze was real, man. Everybody had their phone out, and everyone was trying to find different Pokemon. And not just that,
Yeah.
right? Like if someone found like a legendary Pokemon or something like that in a random place, and they would put it online, right, in the social media, people would go there like crazy, like swarms of people, thousands of people would go there just to capture that Pokemon, and then everyone, like, when I was young, Pokemon was like the biggest thing, right? And one of the slogans of Pokemon was "Gotta catch 'em all,"
yeah, yeah.
right? So, and all these are the people, like, so I think I was 18, 19 when I was back then, when I was in Australia, right? When Pokemon Go came out. So that means a lot of people, maybe 5 years plus minus, right? Like above me and below me were also in the same kind of generation of watching Pokemon.
Yeah.
So these were the majority of people that were just gravitating like insane people, just going different places and trying to find all these different Pokemons, man. It was such a massive thing. I mean,
And there were a lot of tragedies that happened because of it.
Yeah.
People that were like driving around with the phone
Oh, yeah,
intact,
yeah.
walking like just looking down.
Yeah.
There were a lot of things there. So Pokemon Go introduces the world to what AR can do. Not only that, let me just skip some years ahead and the AR use in the FIFA World Cup.
Oh yeah,
That was really
that
good.
was pretty good, man.
That was
Yeah.
pretty good, man. Like you can sit on the stadium and you can get all the details on your phone. It was pretty.
For the
pretty
people
nice.
that are wondering what we're talking about, there will be video references or like photo references, so you guys can come along with us in the journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in 2019, another famous game, Fortnite. Epic Games, Fortnite becomes the most popular shared virtual world ever. Everybody was playing that game. And with over 250 million active users at that
Yo,
time.
my days.
Yeah, and in 2020, rapper Travis Scott performs a virtual concert that attracts more
What?
than 12 million participants.
Really?
Yeah, so he did do this. Not only him, there were many others like Marshmello, and
Yeah.
I think there were other famous artists that have already done this
Ah.
virtual concerts. So yeah, the future is closer than we think.
Oh my days. But okay, I'll hold questions for later. But this is insane to me.
Yeah.
But go on.
2021 now, Facebook's parent
21.
company.
Yeah, go on.
So now Facebook, they rebrand themselves as Meta, and promulgates an upbeat and expansive vision for the metaverse. The renamed company subsequently invests over $10 billion to develop new hardware, software, and services to support this new world. Now, this helps galvanize interest in the term metaverse. Now, this accelerates and popularizes the term metaverse among everyone. So this was a huge step.
When I was trying to do research for this, right? Every time I would write metaverse would show up. And I was confused for a long time. I was like, what is going on? I'm trying to find about Facebook, right? Meta, basically. And I'd only get metaverse. So you can see the practical effects of it, right? Like, because Facebook changed their name to Meta, everyone's like Meta. And even if you open Instagram or Messenger or like even the Facebook app,
It does show, right?
Yeah, it does show early
Powered
on,
by
like it's
Meta?
powered by Meta, right? So I think it has genuinely captured the people's interest, man. And like 10.8 billion?
10 billion investments, yeah,
Yeah,
10 billion investments.
That's insane, man.
Yeah.
Let's see. I hope they do good, man. But I don't trust Mark Zuckerberg. Dude is an asshole. So,
You really think so?
oh, I know so, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, some of the crazy things that Facebook has gotten into just to earn money.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, with all the scandals and all that,
so-
leaking of data and all that. Yeah, that is questionable
So,
part.
you know what I mean? Like, this guy has only eye on the prize. and he's willing to do anything to get it. So I do not trust him, man.
Okay. So with the timeline, now we are again in 2021, where Microsoft now is also working on the same thing. Introduces Mesh, all right, as a new platform that promises to synchronize virtual collaboration. The company touts how metaverse experiences via Mesh could improve enterprise workflows for meetings, construction, and making movies. Now this is a virtual space. Microsoft also working on it. Introduces Mesh. And now in 2022, Simons and that is
Well, by the way, again, I'm laughing because he asked me the pronunciation of this word before we started.
and it did not sound right.
Yeah.
And I did it the first time.
But it's Siemens.
Simmons, okay, and NVIDIA, partner on the industrial metaverse. The new term builds on NVIDIA's Omniverse.
I
Now, this is a new,
like the term, man. I
Now
like
this
the
is
term.
some like Ben 10 kind of thing. All right, Omniverse, collaborative engineering environment, and Simmons, comprehensive platform of digital twin tools for aerospace, healthcare, manufacturing, automotive, and energy industries.
Yo, digital twin, one.
Yeah.
Already interesting, and it's not just tackling like one thing. Aerospace, okay, fine, amazing.
Many different-
yeah.
yeah.
Healthcare, dude. The implications, right? Like, just imagine, guys, like audience sitting at home. The things like ease of life. So when we play game, right? Like once a game comes out, then we wait for updates,
Yeah.
right? Because like the game comes, any game. So for example, right now I'm playing Hogwarts Legacy, right? That game came out, and then I had problem with some of the things. Like I couldn't select this or I couldn't select that. So another like update will come along within like the first week or something, right? And that will have ease of life updates, right? So what that does is like, so one button, I can get that item. I don't have to open the menu again. I don't have to do this again. So in a similar way, metaverse could have so many implications of ease of life,
Yeah.
right? Where like you could be, imagine you have a phone or some shit, where you can like take a scan of your knee and your knee is really hurting. You don't have to go to the doctor anymore. You can just scan it from your phone and send it to the
Yeah,
doctor.
exactly. Yeah.
Right? Like some of the implications that can come along with it. Oh my God. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
excited.
Exactly.
Yeah. And sorry to keep continuing on with this thing. You talked about movies, right? Like the Microsoft movies. You guys, I don't know if you remember, but like how big of a fan we are of Batman, the recent Batman movie. Me and Ashwal both,
yeah.
right? We're crazy fans. The director of the movie, Matt Reeves, he spent 3 months building up all the sets in
Virtually,
a VR,
right? Yeah.
in a VR setting, right?
Yeah.
So by the time they were going to shoot the movie, like everything was like, so this is how I want the set. This is where Batman is going to be standing. This is where she's going to be standing. This is how we're going to exchange, So everything was already laid out. So how convenient was it for him,
To when there was time to do the actual shots, like everything was already laid out. You just had to. He knew
Yeah,
what to do
exactly.
and how to do it. Yeah.
Where to place the cameras,
Yeah.
right? Like lightings and everything sorted out.
I did
Oh
not
my
know
days.
about this, and then you told me about it, and
Yeah.
that was like a pretty great use of AI, like
Yeah.
a virtual reality.
And you can see it in the movie,
Yeah.
Like some of the shots are so iconic, like Batman walking towards that car. That's
an
so
inverted
iconic.
scene.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And then the other scene of Batman and Selina Kyle, like standing in this silhouette, right? Like with New York City in the background, and I think it's about
sunset?
sunset, right? Like it was insane, man.
Good movie.
Yeah.
So that is it with the timeline, and
Ah.
this timeline basically shows the constant and the steady, improvement or advancements in this field. Virtual reality, augmented reality, and all the other digital assets that come with the metaverse. It's constantly growing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like you said, right? The advancement have started to become quicker and quicker and
Quicker, yeah,
right?
with time,
Yeah. So I think, it's an interesting one. But okay, so let me try to expand on some of the things, right? Like especially some of the terms we've been throwing around, like virtual reality, VR, right? AR, what's cryptocurrency,
Yeah.
blockchain, and NFTs and all that. So I'll get into it a little bit so that our viewers at home can also know exactly what's going on. So this is pretty much all you need to know about metaverse as a whole, the whole concept, right? Like the way we have covered this thing is it's not deep dive knowledge, right? But it's enough to get you started on the process of understanding metaverse and all the different concepts utilized by the metaverse to make the metaverse as an environment function, right? So VR, what is VR, right? VR virtual reality or VR is the use of computer technology to create simulated environments, right? Virtual reality places the user inside a 3D environment where you can experience all these things, right? And the later versions of VR, you can probably feel and smell all of these things, right? So a 3D environment. And instead of viewing it on a screen, so for example, some of the games we play, we view it on the screen, right? That's 2D. So you can be immersed into the interactive 3D environment. So that is technically what VR is. So to put it in layman's term, basically what it is, for example, imagine that right now we are not sitting in this studio here, right? This is a computer generated studio, and Ashwal has created an avatar that looks like him, and I have created an avatar that looks like me, right? And this is all internet, and like this is all simulated, right? So what we are doing is Oswald is at his home and he's talking, and I'm at my home and I'm talking. But for you guys that are looking, it's like a 3D space where like the studio is all set, and then Awais is sitting here, Oswald is sitting there, we're talking, right? So basically that. And not just that, like I said, in the future, what we will be able to do is, for example, right, like physically feel when we are touching a phone, right?
Oh,
And like,
that'd be crazy,
right?
Yeah.
And then imagine you guys are, so you have simulated a space where you are in a restaurant, right? All the smell of the food can come, or a perfume shop, right? Like you can smell all these different perfumes, you know? And even for shopping, right? Like this could be so much more helpful.
Oh,
You don't
yeah.
have to go to a
Yeah.
perfume shop and then like try everything out. And even these people, they can only have samples of it. They don't have to waste all these samples on wasting. So a person will walk by, spray, I don't like this one, moves, right? The bottle is finishing.
Yeah.
So they could save up on that as well. So like there's so many implications of VR that can happen. But basically it is a 3D environment where you can feel, touch, sense, and all these different things. And it's on an internet. So yeah.
Yeah, so like there are different like types of, let's put it like VR as well,
Yeah.
right? Let's get into that.
So like you said, right? Like different types of VR would be, and this is getting a little bit more deep into it. And I like the way, like I like the fact that you're asking, because people at home should know all of these as well, right? So one is non-immersive reality, like virtual reality, right? So generally this category is highly overlooked. Okay, because it is non-immersive in the sense that like you're playing a game on a computer, so you are like in a physical environment, but you're doing a digital thing, so VR, right? And like we said, like the games like World of Warcraft, MMORPGs, where you can connect with all these different people, Fortnite, Roblox, and all these different games. So you can connect with all these people, but you are still in a physical space. So you do not get the feeling of you are actually in it.
Like the name suggests, right? Like
Yeah.
you're not fully immersed
Yeah,
into the
yeah.
experience.
Yeah. So then the next step comes as semi-immersed virtual reality, right? And in this, you are partially in a virtual environment and partially in the physical
The real
environment,
world, yeah.
right? So all of us must have seen many funny videos of like people wearing VR headsets
And
and they're
crashing
playing,
into things.
they're playing a game
Yeah.
and they'll crash into something or stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what semi-immersed virtual reality is. Like you do not have the senses of everything that's going on inside, but you are in a different environment, at least for your eyes. And it's immersive enough that you think you are in it and you do all these
You do
stupid
all that,
mistakes.
yeah.
So that's the semi-immersive virtual reality of it, right? And fully immersed. So this is the one that I was talking about like right now when I was explaining VR, right? So this is where all five senses are engaged, right? You're in it, You cannot distinguish between a real world and a virtual world. It's that.
And I don't think
immersive.
we have a fully immersed VR technology as of now. Yeah.
See, so this is the reason why the simulated theory came into being, that we might be in a simulation, right?
Yeah.
Because if the world is so real and you don't know, then this could be a matrix where like in reality, your brain is stuck somewhere else and it's just your brain being fed all of these things, all this information, and you feel like you're in an immersive world.
Fully immersive.
Yeah. So that's the whole thing. And if you guys want to get a real understanding of fully immersive world, like we said, check out Ready Player One, right? Like that is a idea of what a fully immersed VR world could be like,
Yep.
right? So that's pretty much what you'll need for VRs, at least for the starters. And then there's so much more to learn, man. But yeah, now let's get into AR. And I like this. I like AR. We have already started to see real world implications of AR. AR is augmented reality, right? So the augmented reality is what it does is basically it will combine the real world and a virtual thing, right? So for example, let me put it this way. The Pokemon Go thing we talked about,
Yeah,
right?
that's the
So you are in a physical location, but because you're looking through your phone, you are immersed into a whole different thing, right? And then like that thing is AR. So the scientific definition is augmented reality is an interactive experience that combines the real world and computer generated content. Real world and computer generated content, right? The content can span multi-sensory modalities, right? Like this can go into a lot of different things, right? Including visual, audio, and haptic,
Okay.
right? And there could be a lot of other things as well, but haptic feedback is basically you getting if you touch something, you feel like you're touching something.
You get the
know?
sense of
Yeah,
it.
yeah. So haptic feedback and all that. And this is why I was like crazy surprised when you talked about the sonorama, right?
Sensorama.
Sensorama.
Yeah.
Again, erotic name. But this guy had created a world where you could get haptic feedbacks. You know? So that was like
Now, I mean, we don't know how good or efficient was it, but it was a start,
still
right?
like yeah,
It was a
1960s.
start, yeah.
You know, you do that. Like, how creative is that guy, man? I mean,
You could even get the smell.
Yeah.
I wonder what you could smell. Like, what do you smell when you
what do you want to smell?
Yeah.
I mean, if it's the 1960s New York City, you're not smelling something good.
Yeah,
You know,
oh, yeah.
maybe cocaine. But yeah, so and there are two types of like augmented reality, right? Like, so one is marker based AR or augmented reality. So in this, basically, and we use this all the time already, and especially in Nepal, I think we use it a lot more often than I think we, even abroad, of course, we use it. So QR codes,
No.
right? Like we scan. So for example, one of the new forms of payment that has overtaken Nepal is QR code scanning. Right? Earlier, it used to be cash, and I know the world has evolved into going into all these different ways of payment, like phone to phone and all this and all. But in Nepal, if you're going to a store or something, I think it's super
QR
convenient.
code is the most popular, you can say.
Yeah. So QR code is marker based, right? Like so, the lens of the technology you are using has to recognize a mark, right? And that mark being the QR code. And once it recognizes it, the programs will do their things, and it will just take you to a different link, or it will take you to all these different places. And QR codes can be so like marker based AR can be two-dimensional. It doesn't have to go to the
Doesn't
3D.
have to be 3D,
Yeah, right. And markerless AR, right? And the technology you were talking about in football, that is both marker based and markerless AR. So the in-game thing that's happening inside the field, that's all markerless, right? It's just giving you all this information how it's going. Whereas the mark-based thing that's happening is it's staying inside the field, no?
Yeah.
So like there is a mark that it has to comply to. So that's the thing. And markerless is, I think, what a lot of like digital creators, I think they know especially. So for example, there is this app on an iPhone where you can scan something, right? A 3D scan. And it's very, very good. So there's no marker to it, right? Like I can scan anything and it will work. And that will give you a 3D representation of that thing here, right? That's one. The other thing is that in the iPhone, there's that like where you can calculate the space.
Oh, the measure. You can measure.
The measurement thing,
Yeah.
right? So that's basically a markerless AR as well, and there are multiple implications to AR as well, like the thing I talked about scanning your knee, that's AR, that's not VR, so stuff like that, like healthcare and all these different things. I think it could be so immersive that it could change the world,
For the good or the bad, but it can, change the world.
and what is the difference between AR and VR? Like, because at this point, I think people could get confused about like, that sounds very similar, like, so what is the difference? So basically VR is a new environment, and it's a 3D environment, and you can do all these different things. So it's not a digital twin, right? Like it's something different, completely different.
Yeah.
And it's a 3D immersive environment. AR is more physical based,
Yeah.
right? So it has to have some sort of like physical.
It's just a digital overlay on the physical world.
Yep,
Yeah, that's the
exactly.
short
Smarty
way to put
pants,
it. Yeah, man.
But yeah, so that is VR and AR. And now let me get into some of the things that you guys are a lot confused about, and I know I am. So that is cryptocurrencies and NFTs. And like I
Yeah.
said, I've already set my bias. NFT, I hate them. But anyways, let's get into it, right? So what is cryptocurrency? Cryptocurrency is a digital or virtual currency secured by a cryptography, right? So cryptography is the algorithm that they use so that the currency works,
Yeah.
right? Which makes it nearly impossible to counterfeit, right? Or double spend. So it is a much more secure way of doing transactions, and it is decentralized. So the government is not involved in it, right? Like you do not have to take, what do we say, like OKs from the government so that you can transfer money. So for example, if I want to transfer money to America right now, I have to do all these tons of paperwork. And then finally, after I've explained the purpose, like why, to whom, this, that, and all, everything,
Then only you can.
finally I can send it, right? Whereas in a cryptocurrency scenario, you do not have to do any of this like paperwork. So you can
Yeah.
just send it to whoever you want across the globe. And if it's the same cryptocurrency being used globally, then there's no need for price change,
Okay.
right? So you can use the same currency everywhere.
Okay.
So that makes it super, super convenient.
Yeah, easy as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So, and uh, remember this term, blockchain, right? So cryptocurrency works under a blockchain technology, right? And blockchain, I'll explain blockchain as well. It is like a distributed ledger enforced by a disparate network of computers. You know, like tons of different networks of computer. So for example, you make a transaction, right? And then I am a hacker and I want to find out what transaction you made. So what I'll have to do is basically, you know, and depends on how many servers the blockchain is on, I'll have to hack all those different servers. So for example, one in India, maybe that server helped with this blockchain, one is in Australia, one is in Canada, one is somewhere else, right? So I have to hack all of these, which is not easy, right? And then finally find out one transaction you made.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like the security level of the cryptocurrency is so much more higher.
Okay.
You know, whereas, for example, if I was a very gifted hacker,
Hacker.
then I could hack World Bank and find out where the world's money is being used. You know what I mean? And that could be done with a snap.
It's not a vast process as like hacking a blockchain. Yeah.
So that's why people are so much into cryptocurrency. And the other thing is also it's decentralized. So that really helps. A defining feature of cryptocurrencies is that they are generally not issued by any central authority, right? Decentralized. Like I said, no government will open it, you know? And rendering them theoretically immune to government interference or manipulation. So even now, right, like what do you mean by government manipulation? So for example, government I think in India, they have tons of subsidies for agriculture,
Yeah.
right? So basically what the government is saying is that if you invest in agriculture, I'll give you all these like subsidies, you know, and this will be an advantage. And people that are trying to make money will go into agriculture, right?
It's for the sake
But
of the
it's for the sake that like you're getting all these reliefs
yeah.
and you can earn so much money, right? But maybe that guy was not into agriculture,
Yeah.
right? So in a way, the government is controlling the way you spend your money, you know. So that kind of manipulation cannot come into the picture. So that's the thing. And blockchain, right? I've said a lot of blockchain in the recent 5 minutes. But what is blockchain, right? A blockchain is a distributed database or ledger that is shared among the nodes of a computer network, right? So it's not just one node, multiple nodes. And depending on how many servers there are, this could be thousands of nodes. So if anybody wants to know any information, they'll have to hack 1,000 computers, right? And as a database, a blockchain stores information electronically in a digital format. Blockchains are best known for their crucial role in cryptocurrencies, systems such as Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all these other for maintaining a secure and decentralized record of transaction, right? The other thing also I forgot to mention, if the government wants to find out where did Ashwal spend most of his money, the government can find out,
They can easily do it.
you know? And if you don't share the information, you could be crucified. I mean, not,
You could have
yeah, like they could do tons of different legal actions against
actions
you,
on
right?
it. Yeah.
But this will remove that, and people might say there's good to it, bad to it. Of course, it's not regulated, right? Like there's so many rules and regulations that has to be put into place so that not a lot of parallel market or black market forms and all these monies are being funded to do all these disturbing activities. So there are still steps to go, but this would be a better form of currency. And it's an evolution on the currency like timeline, right? Like so barter system and then coins and then like golds and then finally
And now this digital currency. Yeah.
So that's what cryptocurrency and blockchain is.
So
right?
talking about digital currency, let's talk about a digital asset which you hate.
Yeah.
NFTs.
So non-fungible tokens, just the name itself, man. Come on, fungible. What are you trying to get at? Couldn't it be a easier term, like
Like?
non-tradable assets or stuff like that? It
Okay.
could be so much more easier. Fungible. Come on, right? And specialized people in specialized field, they do it on purpose. So if you go to if you're specialized in accounts, there will be all these accounting terms that if you'll say, and I'm not very well versed in accounting, I'll be like, what the hell is he talking
The
about?
prime example of that are the scientific terms.
Yeah.
The planets and the names and everything. Yeah.
Nonsense.
They're all numbers
Yeah.
and all that. Yeah.
It could be termed so much more easier, and people will understand that term. But no, you have to be specialized, right? Like the ties up, the glasses on. So anyway, so what is non-fungible tokens? Non-fungible tokens are assets that have been tokenized via blockchain, right? Via blockchain. They are assigned unique identification codes and metadata that distinguishes them from other tokens. So basically what it means is Leonardo painted the Mona Lisa, right? It's one of one, right? So even the NFTs are tokenized, right? And their metadata is so unique,
yeah.
that you can trade it if you want,
But
but
you cannot
nobody
replicate it.
Yeah, and replicate it, right? And if somebody steals it, you can find out the metadata, and your asset is still protected because then you can get it back,
Yeah.
right? So, and what the people that create NFTs do is they'll create art, right? And they'll sell it, and there are tiers to it as well. So, for example, the highest paid one might be one of one, whereas the lowest one might be like 20. So they'll create 20 arts and only 20 people can have it. And we understand human psychology, right? How people like to have unique things.
Unique things. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what NFT is facilitating, Yeah. So basically it's
Wasn't that the monkey with the cap
Yeah,
NFT?
exactly.
That was
Yeah,
all
yeah,
over the
yeah.
internet. Yeah.
But that's the thing, no? NFTs can be massive scam because people are so into the human psychology so not very strong that people will buy into it, and then they'll spend tons of money and then the company can just disappear tomorrow with all your money, and that assets mean nothing now. And you just lost a ton of money.
Yeah.
Even Logan Paul was involved in a scam. I don't know if you guys also, but yeah, Logan Paul, a famous YouTuber. I don't want to get into what his controversies are. We could do a whole episode on it.
Yeah.
But even this guy was in a NFT scam, So, and expanding more on the NFT concept, NFTs can be traded and exchanged for money or cryptocurrencies, right? Or it could also be exchanged for other types of NFTs, 1:1, maybe deals and all that, depending on the value of the market and the owners, if they want to sell them or not, or if they want to go for the barter system kind of exchange. For instance, you could use an exchange to create a token for an image of a banana, right? Some people might pay millions for that NFT, and while others might think it's worthless. So, very clear example, right? I think the people that were protesting the carbon emission and how the world is being global, what do we call global warming?
Global
No,
warming,
global
yeah.
warming is the wrong word. Climate change.
Climate change.
Yeah. So because global warming, apparently they proved that global warming is not what is happening. It's just climate change that's taking place. So all these climate change activists, they went into the Louvre and started
Yeah,
putting all these extra, destroying the paintings,
yeah.
right? So for them, it's worthless. But for the millions of people that will go to watch the Mona Lisa or all these different paintings, for them it has value,
It has
right?
value, yeah.
So in a similar way, NFTs, for some people, that banana that you created might have millions of worth, whereas if I create it, it might be like,
Worthless.
yeah. So I think people must have grasped the
Concept.
the concept of NFTs and cryptocurrencies, you know. But is there anything you want to know?
I mean, what is the main difference
Yeah. Okay.
between, aren't they both like a digital, some sort of digital asset?
Yeah. So yeah, that is also another confusing thing, right? Like it's very similar to VR and AR. Sound very similar, but and it can be traded online, and it's highly. It uses the same function of blockchain, right, for ledgers and all that. So what is the difference, right? There are a few differences. So NFT is like a digital or a physical asset that has linked to specific blockchain network, unique, and it has unique cryptocurrency tokens, right?
Okay.
So it has a unique code to it. So one NFT cannot be replicated, like we said, right? Whereas a cryptocurrency is more like a currency, right? So there could be billions, trillions worth of it,
Okay.
and you're just basically exchanging it like money, and it's not unique, these currencies, right? Whereas NFTs are unique. So there could be one of one piece, 20 of 20 piece, nothing else, whereas cryptocurrencies could be tons, just like basic money,
Yeah, okay.
and the value also will depend on the asset, right? Like especially for NFTs, because like we said, art is subjective, and for some people they might really enjoy it, for some people they might really not enjoy it, and so NFTs values can be highly up and down depending on what, but there's more value to NFTs, I believe, than bitcoins or cryptocurrencies, because and the other example of cryptocurrencies are like bitcoins, ethereum, sands, mana, and all these different things, right? So that's that. And one of the things is depending on the asset's value, right? NFTs, like I said, could be highly valued. There were NFTs that were sold for millions, whereas, and it'll stabilize, So for example, okay, so there's this very fun thing that people say. I mean, it's a quote. I'm going to butcher it, so I'll just go for the citation and not the actual quote. But it is, people will pay money for things people value, right? And for some people, NFT means a lot, so they'll put in a lot of money. And if they don't value it, they won't, right? Whereas Bitcoins, I think it's highly unstable.
The fluctuations.
Yeah, the fluctuations highly, highly unstable. Someday Bitcoin can be trading for $3,000, and then the next day it'll be $2,500 or $22,000. And people might say it's not that big of a drop or something like that, right? But that's a big drop if you increase the amount of units you own, right?
Yeah.
So for example, if you own 1 million Bitcoins, that even that $50 up and down is a massive hit for
It's
you,
a massive difference.
because then it becomes 500 million. Right, 50 into 1 million.
Yeah.
Right. So it's insane. So that's why people are a little bit more concerned about all of this. But the other thing is, and I think this is going to hurt the metaverse as a whole concept in the long term, is we saw the crash of NFT market and we saw the crash of crypto market as well. So that is something that I think will need to be
sorted out.
Yeah, that needs to be sorted out before we do it. And some of the governments have taken initiatives on making their own cryptocurrencies and all that, so that at least there is some rules to it, and it can be governed at least to a certain degree. Because I think if you let people do whatever they want, I think it's going to go insane.
Anarchy.
Yeah. So, but so these are all of the things that will define a metaverse, and I think more things and more technologies will come along, and we'll have to add it along the way. But what do you think some of the challenges are that the concept of metaverse is facing?
Well, I mean, metaverse can have a lot of as of now, as you already mentioned it's largely unbuilt, and there are lots of rules or laws to be set, for this thing to run smoothly or, to operate like smoothly.
So, okay, so to expand on your point, right? Like, whenever something new comes into the market, right, the governments have to band together and be like, okay, this is something new, we'll have to make new rules and regulations for it, right?
Yeah.
So what they do is they're like, okay, maybe, you shouldn't be able to. So for example, in the Bitcoin thing that we were talking about, it's decentralized, right? So the government can come in and be like, okay, maybe we should not completely decentralize it, maybe centralize it a little bit,
some-
yeah,
yeah, to some extent.
So these kind of transactions have to go through the government, and maybe these we don't want to no, so when new disruptive technologies enter the market or new disruptive ideas, then what you have to do is put some sort of markers and indications to make the society at least civil,
Yeah.
otherwise, like you said, it could go into anarchy. So yeah, go on.
So I mean, yeah, exactly. The challenges that metaverse, faces or that has to overcome are like there are many challenges, but among the few, privacy could be one. We are already struggling with privacy as of now. The internet and the exposed world that we live in right now, and if we have a digital world where people can do all sorts of things, what the privacy becomes a main concern. Where they have our eyes, like the print of our eyes and the haptics and everything, our prints on digital world and for the world to see. So how can we overcome that problem?
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
That could be an insane thing, right?
Yeah, so
And people
privacy
can like steal your identity and do all these crazy.
Exactly,
oh,
yeah, and I'm getting to that.
Yeah.
And the other thing is this is another thing that we're already facing right now: protection for children. And there are certain apps like YouTube for kids and all that. But what if there's a metaverse, and how do we protect the children, underage people to, not see certain things or not learn certain things, to us create a boundary for those kids. So that is also a huge issue.
I mean, we've seen some of the ill effects of it, right? Like TikTok and all that.
Yeah.
Even for children, the contents that come are like very lewd.
Yeah.
Lewd. So that means that like they could be exposed to so many bad things so early on that it could have a psychological impact in the long term,
Yeah.
And that could really like F them up,
Yeah. And especially when there's a fully built digital world, and then they, basically meet people and, interact, exchange informations and, learn something they're not supposed to learn, basically. So that is one of the...
even this, right? Like if you were playing Call of Duty online on PlayStation and all that, right? The platform was so open that like a 13-year-old kid could also log in, and like a 30-year-old person could also log in, right? And when they would log in, and there's like talking going on, right? Like you can basically talk to them through the headsets.
Yeah.
So all these older people, they don't give a shit. So they would talk very crassly. They would abuse, they'd use all this vulgar language. And all these people, 13-year-old, 11-year-old that are playing, it creates an imprint in their mind. Like, okay, you can function like this. And then their vocabulary changes. And then the way they talk changes, and that impacts how they function in society.
Yeah.
But society doesn't work that way, right? It's a very small like percentage of society that's playing that game, and that's okay with that kind of language and all that. So that really messes up. So I think
we already are facing that problem right now. And what if there's an exposed world?
Yeah.
So that is another thing. And one of the things, this is an interesting one: health concern. Once you are completely immersed into this digital world, and you are like, let's say you're wearing this headset for many hours a day, then you get something called the virtual reality hangover. So some people are like, obviously there are virtual headsets right now, and then these people experience these things, having worn the headset for long hours. And so the things are post VR sadness. People basically do go into this VR to escape the sad realities, right? And after you take them off, it's the same thing all over again.
You come back to the ground reality, which is not as fun as the VR reality.
And cyber addiction as well. These things are real problems that...
Oh my days. Think about it, right? In terms of sexual content,
you're totally immersed into it.
Yeah. The things that can happen.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
Society could fall apart, bro. This is insane.
so many things that that need tackling.
Yeah.
And another thing that you've mentioned, identity hacking. So basically, what we know of right now, like, you know, we need avatars to interact and represent ourselves. So who's to stop you from creating an avatar that looks exactly like me and interacting, you know, on my behalf? So though that is one of the big issue.
Yeah, and the other things you mentioned as well, right? Like your retina, like
Scans.
scans could be in the market, and once better gloves for haptic feedback come around,
Your
maybe they
prints.
could even use the fingerprints, right?
Yeah.
And that could be hacked, right? Yeah.
So these are just like, you know, one of the few challenges that, you know, are largely, like I'm using the word again, largely unbuilt concept of this internet, you know, digital internet they are facing, and, you know, they need to sort out. And not only this, you know, what about the laws in the place? You know, so many things to figure out.
I think.
Yeah.
Kind of scary. Kind of scary, huh?
And now, why don't we, you know, they're not just challenges that are out there, you know. This, like you've already mentioned it a couple of times, this can change the way we see the world and how we do certain things. Like, and there are many effects, you know, one a metaverse can have as well.
What are some of the effects that can happen, Ashwa? Because
So-
I feel like you're building up to something.
So yeah, obviously, like, you know, everything has its goods and bads, and the goods are, you know, let's start off with a simple thing. It can change the way how we play games.
Okay.
How do we
Yeah,
play
yeah.
games, right? You know, we just sit down, or, you know, like digital games. So we just sit down and, you know, we play, you know, on the
Okay,
console.
okay. Digital
or-
games.
yeah.
I was thinking about some other games. Go on.
Okay. Let's not get into those kind of games. So in terms of changing the way we play games, you know, just like Ready Player One, you know, what if we are like able to play games fully immersed and competing with each other? How fun will that be?
Yeah.
You know? And there are already, you know, somewhat advancements in the gaming field. You know, all the F1 cars and all that. You know,
Oh yeah.
it gives you real sense of driving. Thing.
I've tried that thing, you know, the F1 like fully immersive experience. Dude, it is like properly immersive. You can feel the steerings in your hand all moving. Not just that, right? Like the seat you're sitting on, you can feel. So for example, so imagine this is the track, right? And here is gravel, and this is like the track. So when this side of the car is on gravel, you can feel this side of the chair just like bumping a little bit, but this side like completely calm.
Okay.
Right? So it's that immersive. And then like the more you get into it, the more you start forgetting you're not there. You know, and then the air is moving and all that and all. So it's fairly immersive. So yeah, man, like you said, But yeah, we were talking about the effects. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, so exactly one of them, the way we play games, right? And the other thing, this is quite interesting. Shopping in the metaverse. You know, we already have some of like, you know, advancements in that area. Like IKEA, you know, was a pioneer with their Place app, you know, which uses augmented reality tech to place furniture in your own in your room, so that you can. This is, you know, it'd be the best way to, you know, select.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is pretty interesting, right?
See, there's this store Uniqlo as well, right? And what they do is, so they have a mirror in store. So basically, all you have to do is put one shirt on, right? And then you can change the colors there or the designs there.
Yeah.
And then because the dimensions of the shirt's already fitting you, all you have to do is change. And in the mirror, of course, it's not being changed on you, like physical shirt, but on the mirror,
Okay.
you'll get the display of all these different shirts. And
So
you can
is
be
it,
like,
what is it? The color changing or what?
yeah, the color changes,
Okay.
design changes. So basically, this is like a template that you're wearing. And then on the mirror, you can be like, okay, I like this design, I like this design. And you can just choose it there and then you go check out.
Yeah, that's
Right?
That's nice.
Yeah.
The L'Oreal as well. You know, L'Oreal, they enable you to virtually try out the cosmetics, the makeup, things, and you know, you can actually try it on, and then, you know, which shade of the makeup do you want, or like the cosmetic do you want. That's nice. That's nice. And it's Apple also got into this with, you know, they can. The same thing like IKEA, you know, you can place your gadget and like the home pod and all that. You know, you can place some of the gadgets in your room.
Yeah.
And you can check it out. You know, what color would you want? Yeah.
So in a way, we are kind of already entering the metaverse like aspect of life,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah.
Yeah. Many different aspects of like VR, AR, like they are already groundbreaking advancements in those fields.
Yeah.
So which contributes basically to the concept of metaverse.
Yeah.
There's another company, Ball, BOLLE. I don't know how to. I think it's pronounced Ball. So now it lets you see through the sunglasses, and not only you can not only select the color of the sunglasses, but you can also see what the world looks like through those sunglasses.
Okay,
All right.
okay. Yeah.
So that is also another one of the
Yeah,
shopping
yeah,
that advancements in shopping that you can do in metaverse. And in terms of education, that is also a vital part, right? In terms of education, there are already virtual reality, headsets and all that, obviously, which, will help kids to learn, being in a different place at a different time. And, you can learn. So there will be definitely like improvements in that area as well.
Yeah. I saw this small video of like a class, everyone gets a VR set, right? And then this is like the future of where metaverse will be. And all these people have like haptic feedback gloves and all that. And they're able to go back all the way to like 10,000 BC.
Ooh.
Where like people were still hunting and gathering and mammoths were around and they could interact with them just to get a proper idea of what like life was like back then, and imagine this. Yeah. So for example, what was one of the most boring subjects you were studying apart from maths in school?
Apart from maths.
Yeah.
Yeah.
History, geography, right?
Yeah, geography. I would say
Geography,
yeah.
like even history, no?
I mean,
Like,
for-
okay,
I
so
ca- I
you
found it,
like
yeah.
you could be okay,
Yeah.
but like for a lot of people, history is so boring, right?
Yeah.
Like dates and all this and all that. Imagine now you could like see a virtual creation of a war that's happening,
Yeah.
right? And you see all these like people that are named historically doing their historic things. How interesting would that class be?
That would be really interesting. I
Right?
would really like to see a war. Yeah.
Right? So, like, the capabilities are like just
Endless.
like, yeah, man.
So that is in terms of education. And the other interesting thing I found was now in terms of traveling, how it can, for travel fanatics out there.
Yeah.
Google is already ahead in this, in this thing where, with it, like now what Google Maps will do is that you can, you search, like you pick out a restaurant, right? And you can actually go a virtual 3D tour of the restaurant inside. So you can now check out the vibe and
wow.
what it'll look like at that certain time of the day
Yeah,
or something. So like you can check out the place and all that. And so you can not only for restaurants, different places, historical places and all that. So that's really interesting.
Yeah, man.
So before you go out, you can see what the place is like
Yeah.
and what the
Not
crowd
just
will
that,
be like.
for a lot of people that will not be able to travel, they could also get a very immersive experience of what that place is genuinely like, right?
Yeah.
The possibilities, man, Ashwal.
Yeah.
Endless.
So these are just some of the few, like we said, their possibilities are endless, and these are just the few effects, good effects the metaverse can have on us as a society.
All right. That is pretty much,
The meat and bones.
Yeah.
Of the topic.
Yeah. But what are your thoughts? Where do you think like the whole concept of metaverse
Yeah.
will be? How will we be interacting with it? I think will it survive or will it die away?
Yeah, metaverse is really interesting. The possible for the good. For what you want. You can have lots of fun with it. And the gaming and the learning and everything. And as of now, I think with all the new updates, as of 2023, it's just really, really in the beginning stage, in the beginning phase. But I would really like to be immersed inside the metaverse sometime in the future, and I hope I'm look forward to it. But by then I hope it is like a proper lawful place.
Yeah.
So what do you think about the metaverse, and do you think, or let's just set a time date, do you think by 2040 there will be a metaverse?
Okay, that's a good one because so basically what you mean by metaverse is fully functioning
digital world.
Everything in place. I don't know 2040 would be the spot, but I know like eventually this will be something that like by the time we are like in our 50s or something, I think this would be a massive deal, and the other thing is, like you said, it needs to have rules and regulations, right? That's one thing that's like that has to be overseen. Like it is a matter of high importance because some of the things that Facebook does, they can justify it because the senators and all these people, they do not understand the law, or there are no laws in place. So there's no legal action that can be taken against them, right? So these are some of the things that has to be created. But the other thing I was going to say is, I don't think there will be just Meta, right? Meta, the Facebook company Meta,
Yeah.
that will be doing the metaverse. I think there will be multiple different versions of metaverse, and depending on the people's choice, I think they will interact and like use
Yeah.
those metaverses.
And that'd be interesting because if you have multiple versions of this thing, would it be like a different Instagram account, like like you create one avatar
Yeah,
for
yeah, yeah.
Meta, and then now you have to create another avatar for another company that has a metaverse concept.
yeah,
Would it be that, or it would be easier to have to like just transfer the same avatar across all the platforms?
So
That'd
I
be
think
easy.
I think what will happen is, so for example, even for your Facebook, there's an email, right? For Instagram, there's an email.
Yeah.
For your other like social media platform, TikToks and all that, you have an email, right?
Yeah.
So the base identity will be the same, but the overall thing, right? Like each platform will need to have a different avatar, I think.
Yeah.
But like the base identity will be the same.
Okay.
So if someone does want to find out you, then you can have like a link tree or something, where there you can be like, so in this, but this is my email. So like then you click that, and then all this different option opens up, and then like you can go into that. But I think it's just the base setup that's going to be the problem. Once you're set up, I think you're going to be fine. Because you haven't, have you changed your Instagram email or anything?
No.
Right? Like, so I think the base setup, initial hang up, but after that, I think it should be okay.
Interesting.
Yeah. But I think it would be better if there are multiple versions of it.
Yeah, that is true
Yeah.
because competition, will lead to better product, right? So that is.
And see, now this is just me riffing, right? So companies, there are other movie making companies, but you see how Disney has overtaken the world, right? And we did talk about this in like the previous video, I think the DC Slate one, right? How Disney has killed it, right? So eventually there will be a metaverse company that will kill it so much that a lot of people will be on that.
The majority will.
Yeah, and I think, and if we do believe some of the dystopian future science fiction books, then I think we are not in for a good ride after that, because then again, somebody is controlling the top,
Yeah.
so then everything can be accessed. There's no privacy, like you said, So it's going to be,
definitely.
interesting for sure. But let's talk of some positives. I think in the healthcare system,
Oh,
right?
huge.
Huge impact, right? Even traveling, understanding, studying, right? Huge impacts. Like this could genuinely change the way human beings think, right? And you're not as bored as often. When you're in class or something like that, you're doing so many different interactive activities. So that means you could be so much more brighter than the previous generations.
Yeah. And also in terms of what Facebook Meta always brags about, we connect people,
Yeah.
right? So also in terms of connecting people, imagine like you're somewhere, you're on the other side of the world and I'm on the other, and we can sit down, interact, watch a movie.
Yeah, let's go here.
Yeah,
And we could go to a physical location inside the metaverse where we can have a fun time.
That'd be.
I wonder what the room's compliance would be, right? Because if it's going to be an interactive environment, you'll have to move, right? Because to get the sensation of moving, you cannot just lie down and think, right? So there needs to be some sort of parameters that are in place, right? Like, so the room has to be a certain way, I think, or like, so that you can get fully immersed into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah. So I wonder how they will tackle that. Maybe like a treadmill or something, where like once you're trying to move.
So a treadmill that moves in all kinds of direction and all that. Yeah, that
Maybe, but yeah, if they do it that way, podcast bros have the copyright claim. Right? Yeah.
The idea. We coined the thing.
Yeah. But yeah.
So all right, let's just get into this as well. What is up with the metaverse as a concept and the companies that are, working towards the metaverse concept? Where are we right now as of 2023?
I think there are a lot of improvements in the healthcare and all these systems. Recently, I heard one of my uncle's kid was being treated in America, and he was being treated in the brain, right? And the surgeons couldn't go in because it was like a 1 millimeters like kind of thing, very small area of the brain that had to be like surgically removed,
Okay.
but they couldn't do it physically.
Yeah.
So what they did was there was already this AR machine. So they basically scanned the whole brain and then they pointed it out that like this is what is required, and then the machine did all the
Okay.
operation. You know? Yeah. So yeah, basically that happened. Yeah, go on. But what do you think? Where are we now?
Just right now with Facebook, Meta, working towards it, and investing billions of dollars on it right now. I think because that we can call that endeavor a failure. I think we can
Yeah.
openly say that.
Yeah, it is a failure, right? Like if you look at it as a whole.
Yeah,
Because, yeah.
yeah, we can call it a failure. All that investment and no returns as of now, and the stock thing of Facebook as well, going slightly decreasing and all that. So as of now, I don't think the world is ready, to completely be immersed into a virtual world where we still have to tackle real world problems. So and also with the factors, I mean, obviously there are groundbreaking, improvements in VR and AR, but talking about the currency of the virtual world, right? The crypto and NFTs and all that, this still need working and setting some ground
Yeah,
rules and
yeah.
all that. So as of now, I don't think the world is ready, and yeah. So right now, it's just the beginning.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point that you made, right? Like the world not being ready and all that. Reason being, so I think I've told you this before as well. There was a different company, Dream Makers or Dream something, back in 1980s, that had the concept of a product very similar to an iPhone, like a
Oh.
smartphone. Yeah,
Okay.
and they were already discussing like like scrolling, pictures enlarging and small, right? And then music's being in the phone.
Okay, so they had touchscreen, like the.
They did.
Okay.
They did. And they had prototypes as well. That was
I thought Apple was the first one to introduce
no,
the
no, no,
touchscreen.
no. So that's the thing, right? But this was back in 1980s. So the technology had not caught up enough.
Okay.
So that's why the price of making one phone back then was
Oh, yeah.
massive.
Yeah.
I think it was 1984, 86. They did a presentation. And a lot of things you see in the presentations, keynotes by Steve Jobs, picked up from there.
Exactly. Okay.
Yeah. And lots of innovations that Apple did picked up from there. You know what I mean? So the concept was already there, right? And they did try it, but the timing wasn't right. Right? So
Talking
the
about
people,
the price, right? Like, how much it would cost to make one phone. It's the same exact thing. I think one Oculus headset right now is about $1,500
Yeah.
or something. So that's insane.
yeah. And
So,
eventually
yeah.
it'll like change. And you bringing that up, right? I saw a version of a VR set just like glasses.
Okay.
Not a heavy chunky thing,
Yeah.
right? Just like glasses.
Yeah.
So that's already changing the game as well, right? So let's see. But some of the haptic feedbacks and all this, I think that will be tough to replicate. Smells,
Yeah.
and all this. So like to be fully immersive, I think the technology still has a little bit of leg to go. But yeah, so that's pretty much it then, huh?
Yeah.
Any other finer points you want to make on the creme de la creme that is metaverse?
The metaverse. I mean, no, we pretty much,
Yeah.
covered it thoroughly.
And I think if you guys have any questions or anything that like really trips you up, do feel free to comment on the comment section. I think we'll be interactive in this one because I think it is a new concept to a lot of people, and maybe some people know some things that we talked about. Some people might not know a lot of things that we talked about, but it's an open discussion. So yeah,
Yeah.
go for it.
So yeah, so it is interesting. We can only find out. Wait and watch and find out.
Yeah. Anyways, we'll keep you guys updated, right? Tune into the next episode as well. I hope you guys liked this episode as well. And yeah, thank you for sticking along for so long with us. And I hope we were able to enlighten you on some of these things. We had to do a ton of research to make this viable. And yeah, I think we are willing to do the work for the time being.
Yeah.
But I hope you guys enjoyed it a lot. And Ashwal is back, and I think he'll be back for the next episode and the next and the next until we die. So,
Yeah, for sure.
anyways, take care. Any final words, Ashwal?
Pretty much, keep showing love, and we shall keep delivering.
By the way,
Yeah.
we crossed 100 subscribers, bro.
Ooh,
yeah.
yeah.
So that's
We
something
did.
impressive as well. Thank you so much, guys, for all the
Yeah.
love and support.
Yeah, and we
yeah.
intend to keep growing.
Yeah.
And yes, thank you guys.
See you guys next Thursday. Bye-bye. Peace.